Be cool, be kind, be classy. The cupcakes so sweet and sexy. Have fun and enjoy the journey. Just have a good attorney. No big whoop, no biggie. She lives near New York City. Not just a YouTube show. When you know, you better grab a straw. Learn about the law. It's cool here in the shade, sipping motions and lemonade. Cool heads will prevail, kindness will never fail. Be classy and vastly wise. Oh, Melanie Little is going live. Oh no, where is Melanie? Follow the island's melody. Is a concert within reach. No surprise, she's at Jones Beach. She heard some music far away. Captain Jack's at Harbor Bay. He sings and his piano plays. Not all sounds are waterways. Speaking Yiddish and Latin, it's not just for Manhattan. It's for Goethe and Machegas. Ridiculous that insanus. Oy vey, Marcus. Proceed, that's for schmucks. Be cool, be kind, be classy. My cupcakes are sweet and sassy. And not just a YouTube show. When you know, cool heads will prevail. Kindness will never fail. Be classy and vastly wise. Melanie Little is going live.
Good morning. Good morning. Well, it looks like we're going to get to see some of Brian Walshe's jury selection today. I wasn't sure if they were going to televise it or not, and it turns out that they are. So I have it on pause, and we've got a nice feed from Boston 10. So we're going to see we're going to get to see some of it. The issue is, well, part of the issue for many people is that there's a major outage right now, a Cloudflare outage that is affecting a lot of things. A lot of things. I think Twitter is down from what I heard in the New York Post this morning. I don't know if it's back up. Canva is also down weirdly enough, so I can't even make a thumbnail. But I thought if they're going to do a little bit of jury selection, why don't we watch it together at the very last minute? So let's do it. I'm going to put it up and we'll see what we see. It's probably not going to be very long, but at least we'll get an idea of the things that the judge says to the panel and whether or not they are going to talk about some issues that they didn't decide yesterday. I went back and watched the hearing yesterday. A lot of the motions she didn't rule on. You know, she did say, Judge Freniere did say that a trial is a living and breathing thing, and that's how she likes to think of it. And so she wasn't really sure how she was going to rule on a lot of the issues. And so we're going to have to watch the trial to see. Okay, so let's watch this first, and then we'll see what else we have to talk about today. Nice shot of a belly of one of the court officers. Here comes Brian Walshe walking on in.
May I call the case, Your Honor?
Yes, please.
Your Honor, this is docket number 23CR91, the Commonwealth versus Brian Walshe. Mr. Walshe is present. Can I have counsel identify themselves for the record, starting with the Commonwealth?
Good morning, Your Honor. Greg Conn for the Commonwealth.
Good morning, Your Honor. Tracy Cusick for the Commonwealth.
Good morning, Your Honor. Ann Yaz for the Commonwealth.
Welcome to the prosecution and to the defense. Good morning.
Good morning, Your Honor. Good morning, everyone. Kelly Porges on behalf of Mr. Walshe.
Good morning, Your Honor. Larry Tipton for Mr. Walshe.
Welcome to all the lawyers and good morning to Mr. Walshe.
Let me know if I need to boost it a little bit more. It's boosted already, but I think I can go a little bit higher with this. Sometimes it takes a minute for the mics to modulate on their feed. So let's give it a second.
Before we get started with
It's Jim, the court clerk. Jim.
today, I'll see you at the side of the bench.
Oh, sidebar first thing. Sidebar first thing, but we have Jim, the court clerk, back. Have we missed him? I don't know. His voice kind of gives me a little PTSD, but that's just me. Sound is good? All right, good. Sometimes it depends. Like yesterday when I was listening to the replay, when I was in my car, it was okay. And then sometimes if you're not with earbuds in, it's not good. All right, let's fast forward a little bit. Let's give it a chance to modulate, though, because it hasn't had its own chance. I know you get PTSD from Jim's voice, too. All right, look at us on real time. I mean, it's boosted almost all the way. It's boosted to 8, so let's just give it a minute. Let's see when they come back. How's everybody doing today? Crystal gifted 5 memberships. Thank you, Crystal Pond. You're awesome. So early in the morning. Earbuds do make a big difference. Sometimes I link them to my stream as a product. You know what? I'm going to do that right now. For anybody who wants a good low-cost wireless earbud, these JLab ones are really good. They're like $30. I'm gonna link them to the stream in case anybody needs a good gift idea for somebody who listens to YouTube all day long. There you go. Oh, look at that. They're only $19.99 right now. You can get them in all kinds of different colors. Enjoy. You're welcome. You're welcome. And they play well with all products. I have an iPhone. They work good with an iPhone. They work well with other phones as well. And so there you go. Enjoy. $20. Best $20 you'll ever spend if you listen to YouTube all day long. That's for sure. In addition to paying for premium YouTube, which is less than $20 a month. And in fact, I found out the other day that you can get a student membership on YouTube. I think it's like $7.99 a month. You have them? JLab clip-ons, says Just Irish. I have the ones that just go in my ears. I learned the hard way. I want the pillowcases too. I don't, it doesn't let me. There underneath in the show notes, there's a link to my Amazon list, and you have to click into the Amazon list and then go into like, I don't know, there's separate lists for separate things, but I think it's like home goods or something. Hang on. Not really feeling great today, so you're just going to have to deal with me a little bit if I get cranky. Oh, don't even write that word in the chat, the TMEU word, because now I'll get a million pop-up ads. So James, thank you for telling people to go there, but I'll get a million pop-up ads from there. I've never ordered anything from there because I'm just afraid it's not going to show up. Yeah, Cosgrove has not responded to the mega motion yet. I don't know what he's thinking, but his deadline to respond to Aiden Carney's mega motion was yesterday, and so far nothing. So far nothing. He hasn't asked for an extension. He hasn't filed his response. He has not done anything. If it drops today, we'll cover it. I thought it might drop yesterday. It should have by close of business, but it didn't. It just, what had happened was Kazi G is not on it. Earbuds won't stay in your ears. The ones that I've linked in the show have like 4 different sizes of innards or whatever you call those little ear cap pieces. Great stocking stuffer. Thinking.
20.
Should be better now, the volume, because it just blew my ears out. Jenna got the student membership. It's right. It's $7.99, right? So worth it. Especially because most people who watch YouTube don't watch anything else. You can watch YouTube all day long.
Okay. Yeah, we're good.
Everyone all set?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you.
May I proceed, Your Honor?
You may.
Too loud.
Mr. Walsh, can you please stand?
Oh.
Mr. Walsh, do you wish to offer a change of plea on docket number 2382CR91002, which charges you with intimidation of a witness, juror, police, or court official, and 003, disinterment of a body? Do you wish to offer a change of plea from not guilty to guilty?
What?
I do.
Could you raise your right hand, please? Do you solemnly swear to make true answers to such questions that should be put forth to you by the court, so help you God?
I do.
Brian Walshe is pleading guilty on 2 of his charges. Come on back to your screen. I didn't see this coming. Good thing we put this on last minute. 2 of his charges, he's pleading guilty. Witness intimidation and disinterment of a body. Come to your screen right now and make sure you can hear it. I'm going to rewind it. Don't worry. We're going to play that again. They just decided something sidebar, and it's our clerk, Jim, from the Karen Reed trial. So tell your friends. Hold on a minute. I got to gather myself. Hold on. Don't miss it, because I just rewound. They did a little sidebar. They're coming back, and he's pleading guilty to 2 of the charges. But remember, there's still a murder charge on the table, so everybody listen up. Here we go.
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you.
May I proceed, Your Honor?
You may.
Mr. Walsh, can you please stand? Mr. Walsh, do you wish to offer a change of plea on docket number 2382CR91-002, which charges you with intimidation of a witness, juror, police, or court official, and 003, disinterment of a body? Do you wish to offer a change of plea from not guilty to guilty?
I do.
Could you raise your right hand, please? Do you solemnly swear to make true answers to such questions that should be put forth to you by the court, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you. Could you please take the witness stand?
Wow.
Actually, you know what I'm gonna, this is an odd configuration. I don't want counsel standing. So I'm gonna let you stay right there, sir. You understand you're under oath?
I do.
All right. Why don't you be seated and you can have the benefit of your counsel at the ready right there.
Okay.
Mr. Walsh, as you know, my name is Diane Freniere. I'm the judge that's presiding over this trial, and I'm an associate justice of the Superior Court in Massachusetts. I understand from your lawyers that you wish to change your plea to guilty to counts indictment 002 and in 003. And before I can accept that change of plea to guilty to those 2 indictments, I need to ask you some questions to make sure that your decision to plead guilty is made voluntarily and that you understand the consequences of pleading guilty to those 2 offenses. If at any time during the course of this colloquy you don't understand something that I am saying to you, just let me know by letting your attorneys know. Let them consult with you. And equally, if I don't understand something that you're saying to me, I'll ask for that further clarification. Do you understand, sir?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Can you please state your full name, sir?
This is called a colloquy. She's got to give him a colloquy to make sure that he understands what he's pleading guilty to. All right. So that the record is clear, so that we're all understanding here. Brian Walshe is facing 3 charges. The first charge is felony murder. The second charge is witness intimidation. And the third charge is disinterment of a body, or improper disposal of a corpse is what they say, what they call it in some jurisdictions. People are saying, how can he plead guilty to that and not the murder? Well, he could have disposed of a body without actually having been one doing the killing. You get it? They don't have a body for the murder. So maybe he thinks that if he pleads guilty to these 2 other things, jury's not going to hear about any of that stuff. And the only case the Commonwealth is going to be able to try is the murder. Yeah, what corpse? Exactly, what corpse? Right. All right. The judge is going to make sure that he understands his plea, but she's letting him sit at the table, which I don't understand. She said it's because the courtroom is in a weird configuration, but if you're just tuning in, I'm going to rewind this again so that everybody who's just tuning in now is going to smash the like button. We're going to go back to where we just shockingly learned Brian Walshe is pleading guilty to 2 of the 3 charges, and it seems like they are only going to try him on the murder charge. But let's wait and see. Okay, ready? I'm going right back. Here we go.
Thank you.
May I proceed, Your Honor?
You may.
Mr. Walsh, can you please stand? Mr. Walsh, do you wish to offer a change of plea on docket number 2382CR91-002, which charges you with intimidation of a witness, juror, police, or court official, and 003, disinterment of a body? Do you wish to offer a change of plea from not guilty to guilty?
I do.
Could you raise your right hand, please? Do you solemnly swear to make true answers to such questions that should be put forth to you by the court, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you. Could you please take the witness stand?
Actually, you know what I'm gonna, this is an odd configuration. I don't want counsel standing. So I'm gonna let you stay right there, sir. You understand you're under oath?
I do.
All right. Why don't you be seated and you can have the benefit of your counsel at the ready right there.
Okay.
Mr. Walsh, as you know, my name is Diane Freniere. I'm the judge that's presiding over this trial, and I'm an associate justice of the Superior Court in Massachusetts. I understand from your lawyers that you wish to change your plea to guilty to counts indictment 002 and in 003. And before I can accept that change of plea to guilty to those 2 indictments, I need to ask you some questions to make sure that your decision to plead guilty is made voluntarily and that you understand the consequences of pleading guilty to those two offenses. If at any time during the course of this colloquy you don't understand something that I am saying to you, just let me know by letting your attorneys know. Let them consult with you. And equally, if I don't understand something that you're saying to me, I'll ask for that further clarification. Do you understand, sir?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Can you please state your full name, sir?
Brian Walshe.
All right. And Mr. Walsh, do you have any difficulty speaking or understanding English?
I do not, Your Honor.
How old are you, sir?
I'm sorry, I missed that.
Sure. I'll try to get into this microphone. How old are you?
50.
And what's your exact date of birth?
January 31st, 1975.
Where were you born, sir?
Boston.
Are you married?
Yes.
Do you have any children?
Yes.
And what are their ages?
9, 6, and next month, Brian will be 5.
How far did you go in school?
College, some college.
That was like a year and a half or 2 years.
Oh, yes.
And where did you go to school?
Carnegie Mellon,
What did you study?
business and computer science.
As an adult, have you had full-time employment?
I've had my own businesses,
And in what kind of businesses?
mostly consulting.
Okay. I need to ask you some personal questions. I'm going to ask you those questions now. Have you ever in the past been treated for any mental illnesses or conditions?
Yes.
Tell me about that.
Depression.
And are you aware of whether anything else other than depression?
That was the main thing.
All right. And are you presently aware of whether you have any mental illnesses or conditions, to include depression?
No.
Are you taking?
Do we need to point out he was just in Bridgewater State for 40 days to determine his competency to stand trial? She needs to make sure that he's mentally in check to be able to plead guilty to these 2 charges. This is crazy. I know a lot of things are happening with the internet. The Cloudflare is down. Everything's wonky today, but Brian Walshe is pleading guilty to 2 of these charges. I'm trying to find his indictment. I know I have it somewhere in my computer, but I can't find it.
Any medications?
No.
In the last 24 hours, have you taken any drugs, legal or illegal?
No.
In the last 24 hours, have you consumed any alcohol or alcoholic beverages?
No.
Is your mind clear here today?
Yes.
Tell me in your own words, sir, why are you here
I'm here to plead guilty.
on those 2 counts?
Yes.
And you understand that your trial's starting today
Yes.
on the first indictment? All right. To defense counsel, have you had any difficulty communicating with your client?
No.
No, Your Honor.
And do you believe that he has understood the advice that you've provided to him?
Yes, you.
Same.
So at this time, I'm going to go over what's called the waiver of rights. And at the end of it, I'm going to give you the form back that I believe you signed earlier today. Do you understand, sir, that by pleading guilty, that you're giving up your right to have a public, fair, and impartial trial as to each of the 2 indictments to which you're now pleading guilty, with or without a jury, to determine your guilt or innocence?
I do, Your Honor.
And do you understand that if you went to trial, you wouldn't have to prove anything? For example, you never have to take the stand to testify. You would never have to call any witnesses. No jury could ever hold it against you if you did not present any evidence at all. Instead, it is the Commonwealth that has the burden to prove you are guilty of each of the offenses and each element of those offenses beyond a reasonable doubt. Do you understand that?
I understand, yes.
You have the right to be tried by a jury of 12.
We are right now watching Brian Walshe plead guilty out of two of the 3 charges for which he is charged. He will still go to trial for murder, as far as I can understand. As far as the chat going off on Karen Reed and her papers, yes, I'm aware. Yes, I will cover it, but I'm not going to stop covering Brian Walshe this minute in order to cover that this second. So let's give this case the attention it deserves, and then we can move on to something else if that's okay with you. Thank you very much.
Of people selected from your community, and you would have the right to participate in jury selection. You could not be found guilty unless the Commonwealth convinces all 12 jurors that you are guilty beyond a reasonable doubt, and they unanimously agree you are guilty. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
You also have the right to be tried by a judge instead of a jury. And again, the judge couldn't find you guilty unless the Commonwealth presented evidence sufficient to convince the judge beyond a reasonable doubt that you are guilty of the charge. Do you understand?
Yes.
Do you understand that if you went to trial, you would have the right to confront your accusers and any other witnesses that may testify against you by facing them and having your attorneys ask questions of them?
Yes, Your Honor.
And do you understand that if you went to trial, you would have the right to call your own witnesses, present your own evidence, and if you wished, even testify on your own behalf? Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you understand that by pleading guilty here today, you're giving up your right to pursue any arguments or motions that your attorneys may have made or filed on your behalf in this case, and that may include motions to dismiss and motions to suppress, as well as your right to appeal any rulings or decisions that the court may have already made in this case?
Yes, Your Honor.
And are you willing to give up each of those rights?
Yes, Your Honor.
Pass that to the defendant. Sir, if had the court officer pass to you defendant's waiver of rights, have you seen that form before?
Yes, Your Honor.
And did you read that document or have someone read it to you?
Yes, Your Honor, I read it.
Have you reviewed it with your attorneys? Do you understand it? Do you understand what's contained on the waiver of rights form?
I do, Your Honor.
You understand that that form sets forth in writing what you and I have just been discussing a moment ago in terms of your willingness to waive your constitutional and statutory rights and plead guilty to the 2 indictments.
Yes, Your Honor.
Is that your signature at the end of the document?
Yes, Your Honor.
And did you sign that voluntarily?
Yes, Your Honor, I've signed it voluntarily.
By signing that form, you're confirming to me, sir, in writing that you are aware of the rights explained on the form, that you understand them, and that you voluntarily waive them. Is that correct?
Yes.
Do you understand, sir, that you are pleading guilty to the following 2 indictments? Indictment 002, which charges willfully misleading a police investigation, a criminal investigation, in violation of Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 268, Section 13B, and in Indictment 003, you are pleading guilty to, while not being lawfully authorized by proper authorities, willfully conveying away a human body or the remains thereof in violation of Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 272, Section 71. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
And have you talked to your attorneys about each of these 2 indictments?
Yes, Your Honor.
Has counsel explained the elements of each of those 2 indictments that the Commonwealth would have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you understand each indictment?
I'm sorry, what did you?
Do you understand each indictment?
Yes, Your Honor.
And to defense counsel, have you explained the elements of each of the 2 offenses to your client?
Yes, Your Honor.
I'm going to ask that the assistant of the Commonwealth, whoever wishes to do it, would tell me what the maximum and minimum sentences are. And I don't believe there are any mandatory minimum sentences, but you can tell me if there are.
There are no mandatory minimum sentences, Your Honor. The maximum sentence on count 2 is 10 years unless the investigation is into a capital offense, and then it is a 20-year sentencing enhancement, up to 20 years. On count 3, it is up to 3 years in state prison.
He's already been in for over 3. He's already been in for almost 2023. Well, he's been in for almost 3. He didn't plead to the murder charge. They're still going to go to trial on the murder charge. I'll explain everything afterwards. So just hang on. I have the indictment. We can look at it. Remember, witness intimidation is the same statute under which Aiden Carney has been charged, 268. And so Brian Walshe has been charged with misleading the police investigation by lying about his whereabouts and where he went on the days after Ana Walshe's disappearance, because then they did his total phone extraction and found his location data. And so they're claiming that he lied to police and he misled the investigation, and also that he disposed of a corpse. And he's pleading guilty to both. The witness intimidation charge, which also falls under the misleading the police charge, carries a max of up to 10 years, which we know from Aiden Carney's case. But the disposal of a corpse is only up to 3 years. And he's been incarcerated since his arrest in 2023. And the jury will not know about this. So just let's sit tight. And then we are going to recap and go over any parts that we do not understand or you do not understand. This is Judge Freniere. This is the same judge that has been on this case for a very long time.
Thank you. Mr. Walsh, did you hear the maximum possible sentences for the charges that the Commonwealth just recited?
Yes, Your Honor.
And do you understand those maximum potential offense charges, sentences?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you understand that I have the authority to impose consecutive sentences on indictments, meaning, for example, that the sentence on the second indictment would begin only after you completed your sentence on the first indictment?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you understand that if I impose a period of probation, you will be subject to the terms and conditions imposed, including not committing any other crimes and reporting to your probation officer?
Yes, Your Honor.
If you should later be found in violation of any of the terms or conditions of your probation, a judge could sentence you up to the maximum penalty allowable by law for any of the charges on which you have been found in violation of probation, and would be required to sentence you to any mandatory minimum penalty required by the law.
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you understand what I just explained?
Yes.
Pleading guilty has certain implications for you, and I'm going to go over those implications with you now. First is DNA testing. By pleading guilty to these 2 indictments, you will be required by law to submit a sample of your blood, hair, and/or saliva, and that sample will become part of the Massachusetts DNA database. You will be required to pay for the cost of collecting, preparing, and processing that sample unless you are determined to be indigent, and failure to comply with this law will subject you to separate criminal penalties. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Are you still willing to plead guilty?
Yes, Your Honor.
I know earlier in the colloquy this morning, you told me that you were born in Boston, and I have no reason to doubt that. But the law mandates that I give you warnings with regard to immigration consequences, and I'm going to give you those immigration consequences now. If you are not a citizen of the United States, you are hereby advised that my acceptance of your guilty plea may have the consequence of deportation, exclusion from admission to the United States, and denial of your naturalization request, all pursuant to the federal laws. Further, if the offense to which you are pleading guilty is under federal law, one that presumptively mandates removal from the United States, and federal officials seek your removal, it's practically inevitable that this conviction will result in deportation, exclusion from admission to the United States, and or denial of your naturalization request, again, under those federal laws. Do you understand what I just said?
Yes.
Has your attorney advised you of these consequences if you are not a citizen of the United States?
Yes, Your Honor.
And understanding that, do you still wish to plead guilty?
Yes, Your Honor.
Because the sentence for count number 2 could be a sentence, a state prison sentence of 3 or more years, I'm now going to give you what's called the habitual offender law warning, which I'm required to give you. Here it is. If at some time in the future you are convicted or plead guilty to a third or subsequent offense that is within the category of offenses covered by the statute, then 1, you may be imprisoned in state prison for the maximum term provided by law for such third or subsequent offense. 2, your sentence could not be reduced or suspended. And 3, you may be ineligible for probation, parole, work release, or furlough, or to receive any deduction in the sentence for good conduct. Do you understand what I just said?
Yes, Your Honor.
And understanding what I've advised you with regard to these sentencing consequences, are you still willing to plead guilty to the 2 charges?
Yes, Your Honor.
Just flipping
All right.
pages.
I'm now going to ask the Assistant District Attorney to summarize the evidence that would have been presented against you by the Commonwealth if you went to trial in this case. I'm going to ask, sir, that you listen carefully, because when the ADA is finished, I'm going to ask you some questions about the facts that the ADA has stated.
Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, regarding count 002, misleading police in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 268, Section 13B. On or about or in between January 1st to January 8th, 2023, Mr. Walshe did willfully mislead police officers with the intent to impede, obstruct, delay, prevent, and otherwise interfere with the criminal investigation into the disappearance and murder of Ana Walshe. The defendant first misled the Cohasset police in the morning of January 4th, 2023, when after he reported his wife, Ana Walshe, missing. He stated to a Cohasset police officer that Ana Walshe had left the Walshe residence at 516 Chief Justice Cushing Highway in Cohasset on the morning of January 1st, 2023, by taking an Uber or Lyft to Logan Airport when returning to Washington, D.C. for a work emergency. The defendant then continued to mislead police officers. When he made additional false statements about Ana Walshe being alive and voluntarily leaving the Walshe residence, as well as when he detailed his whereabouts on January 1st, 2023, to Cohasset police and Massachusetts State police officers. The defendant continued to make false statements when the police officers from these agencies met with him, including on the evening of January 4th, on January 5th, January 7th, and January 8th. In January of 2023, the Cohasset Police Department had approximately 20 full-time police officers, including 2 detectives. The Cohasset Police devoted all available resources in an attempt to find Ana Walshe. They requested assistance from other departments and agencies. And on January 6th, the Cohasset Police Department conducted a press conference seeking help in locating Ana Walshe. As a result of the defendant's false and misleading statements, law enforcement agencies and police officers took many actions which had a heavy financial and emotional cost. These included the Cohasset Fire Department searching a swimming pool at the Walshe residence, teams of police officers from multiple agencies and departments, including a K-9 teams participating in large-scale canvass of the area around the Walshe residence during inclement weather. DC Metro Police attempted to locate Ana Walshe in Washington, D.C., and Massachusetts police officers, including Cohasset Police, Massachusetts State Police detectives, and other units from Massachusetts State Police traveled to Washington to search for Ana Walshe in a result of the defendant's false statements. The defendant's conduct was willful. His statements impeded, obstructed, delayed, and otherwise interfered with the criminal investigation, and the delays resulted in contents of dumpsters in which the defendant had disposed of Ana Walshe's remains being incinerated.
Why don't you pause there? We'll deal with count 1 and, count 2, and then we'll go to count 3.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. So, Mr. Walshe, did you hear what the Assistant District Attorney just said with regard to the statement of the offense conduct for indictment 002, misleading police.
Your Honor, if I may, Mr. Walsh is prepared to admit to the recitation of facts with respect to the indictment that the government just read, insofar as it alleges he did impede and obstruct the criminal investigation into the disappearance of Ana Walshe. We obviously object, and he's not admitting to and murder. The second portion of the facts that the government just read that we would take issue with is the last sentence, and the delays resulted in the contents of the dumpsters into which the defendant had deposited Ana Walshe remains being incinerated. Insofar as the rest of the facts, he's prepared to admit.
All right. Mr. Walsh, you just heard what Attorney Porges said, sort of the insofar as. It's another way of saying it limited to this. And you heard what your counsel just said. Understanding those limitations as just articulated by your counsel, did you do or join others in doing those acts?
Yes.
Do you understand that by pleading guilty that you're admitting to the facts described as revised by your counsel are true?
Yes.
Are they?
Yes.
Mr. Walsh, did you in fact willfully mislead various law enforcement to include members of the Cohasset Police Department and the Massachusetts State Police with the intent to impede or interfere with a criminal investigation of Ana Walshe's disappearance?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Moving to indictment number 3.
Okay.
Thank
All
you.
right. Are you picking up what we're laying down? If you've been followed, this is, I think, our 24th video on this case. So there is a playlist that I will link below. I don't think I had time to do it this morning because this was a last minute add-on. I didn't know this was going to be televised and clearly didn't know that he's going to be pleading guilty to 2 of the 3 charges. He is still going to trial on the murder case. The murder jury selection is starting today. This charge that he just pled guilty to was misleading the police investigation. So we know from all of the pretrial motions that we've been over that Brian Walshe lied to the police. He lied to the police, the Cohasset police. He lied to the Massachusetts State Police investigators, including Michael Proctor and Yuri Bukhenik and John Fanning, etc. When he told them that Ana Walshe left the morning of New Year's Day, 2023, to go to Logan to get on an airplane to go to DC. He's admitting that he lied about that. And because of his lies, they spent lots of money investigating the disappearance of Ana Walshe, including canine units. I think the CERT team was involved in searching for her. They did. They emptied the pool in the backyard of the Chief Justice Cushing Highway house where they rented, that they lived in, and spent a lot of money looking for Ana Walshe. And he also made additional false statements about his whereabouts. Remember, he said he took his son only to the ice cream shop. And then what had happened was they got his location data. They found out he went to the dumpsters, and they found out that he went to Lowe's and Home Goods, and he bought the rug and things like that. But as of right now, all he's pleading guilty to is the misleading the police investigation, which happens to be one of the subsections of the witness intimidation statute. So when I first wrote on the scrolling banner that is beneath us, the witness intimidation statute, it's the same statute. It's just a different section, misleading the police. This charge carries a maximum of up to 10 years, as we know, because Aidan Carney has been charged with many, many counts of this same statute. Okay, so he's pleading guilty to that, and he's agreeing that certain things that they just said that the Commonwealth alleges, he's agreeing to. Now we're going to move on to the next charge, which is the improper disposal of a corpse, and we'll see what he says about that.
Willfully conveying a human body in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 270.
I need to just take that back a sentence. And Mr. Connor, could you please find the mic? Thank you.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Moving to indictment number 3.
Thank you, Your Honor. Willfully conveying a human body in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 272, Section 71. On or about and in between January 1st and January 8th, 2023, the defendant Brian Walshe willfully conveyed away the body of Ana Walshe, or the remains thereof, from the Walshe residence at 516 Chief Justice Cushing Highway in Cohasset by conveying and disposing of Ana Walshe's body without a license or lawful authority, or the remains thereof, into dumpsters and/or garbage receptacles in eastern Massachusetts. The defendant's actions were willful. Ana Walshe was not a stranger to the defendant. She was the defendant's wife and mother of his 3 young children. The defendant conducted internet searches into disposal of the body, researched locations of dumpsters, and then traveled to those locations. In disposing of the body of Ana Walshe, the defendant did not comply with the law.
Improper
Thank
disposal
you.
of a body.
Sir, did you hear what the Commonwealth just alleged? It would prove the case went to trial with regard to indictment number 3.
Yes, Your Honor.
And did you do those things or join others in doing those acts?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you understand that by pleading guilty to today, you are admitting the facts described just now by ADA Connor?
Yes, Your Honor.
Wow.
Mr. Walsh, did you in fact willfully remove or convey the body of Ana Walshe or her remains, not being lawfully authorized to do so?
Yes, Your Honor.
Is he going to say it was an accident? Is he going to say she took her own life? Is he going to say somebody else did it? Now I'm so curious to know what his defense is going to be, because the jury's not going to hear about any of this stuff. And this is a very, very smart strategic decision on the behalf of Brian Walshe and his amazing attorneys, Larry Tipton and Kelly Porges. Kelly Porges, I saw somebody ask, how long has Kelly Porges been on the case? She's been on the case for a long time. R.I.P. Ana. So he's admitting that she's actually gone, that she's deceased, and that he did dispose of her body. But what is his defense going to be? Now I am so curious. Let's keep listening.
Do you now plead guilty to these indictments willingly and voluntarily?
Yes, Your Honor.
Has anyone threatened you or forced you in any way to plead guilty to these 2 indictments?
No, Your Honor.
Has anyone promised you anything in return for your plea of guilty to these 2 indictments other than the terms of the plea agreement that we discussed? Excuse me, there's no plea agreement. That's what happens when you keep reading from the book, and you shouldn't. Has anyone promised you anything in return for your plea of guilty to these 2 indictments?
No, Your Honor.
Have you had enough time to discuss your rights, your case, your defenses, and the possible consequences of your guilty plea with your attorney?
Yes, Your Honor.
And do you feel that Attorney Tipton and Attorney Porges have acted in your best interest, that he and she have fully, fairly, and adequately represented you in this case?
Yes.
Are you confused in any way by any of the questions I've asked you today?
No, Your Honor.
As I understand it then, sir, you're pleading guilty to these 2 indictments because you wish to plead guilty because you are guilty. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Counsel, do you know, defense counsel first, do you know of any reason why I should not accept your client's guilty plea?
You do not.
Same question to the Commonwealth.
Your Honor, I'll be brief, but we had spoke, this is a non-negotiated plea with the Commonwealth, and we had some objections to it. But my concern was where the defendant equivocates on the factual basis that the Commonwealth read in, that is one reason you should not take it. And the second is this count 3 revolves around improper disposal of Ms. Walsh's remains. And the defendant, when asked his marriage status, said that he was married. And consequently, Your Honor, then that is not an accurate relaying of his current status to the court and could be invalidating the plea. So I believe he has to be asked that question again.
Wow.
And I believe that if he continues to say he's married, that he's negating facts of count 3.
All right, I'll give defense counsel an opportunity to speak with your client.
Your Honor, I apologize. I couldn't exactly hear what Mr. Connor's caveat was.
Yeah, you know why you can't hear? Because the prosecution bench is in front of the defense bench and it's attached to the judge's bench, which is the most ridiculous setup of any courtroom that I've ever seen in any state in the country. Nowhere else is it like this, where the prosecutor stands up and speaks to the judge with his back to the defense team. Every other courtroom has tables that are side by side, prosecutor, defense, right? You've watched a million trials too, you know. Okay, so originally at the beginning of the colloquy, Brian Walshe was asked a lot of questions. How old are you? He said 50. What's your level of education? She wants to make sure, the judge wants to make sure that he's capable of understanding what he's doing and what he's pleading to. And when asked what his marital status was, he said he was married. And so Greg Connor is objecting and saying, well, Your Honor, if he's going to plead guilty to disposing of Ana Walshe's corpse, how could he say that he's married? That could invalidate the plea. He's going to need to change that and say, I guess, that he's widowed. Right? Okay. I will update you, late joiners, when we're done here, but I'm not going to stop and update every 5 minutes because I've already done it a whole bunch. So just hang tight and we will review at the end. But he is still married, right? When your spouse dies, if someone asks you if you're married, do you say yes? Apparently he didn't understand that question, and he's going to need to say that he's not married anymore, that he's widowed, I guess. I don't know. But, good thing that Connor is protecting the plea, GV. You're correct. That is exactly what's happening. He's still legally married. You're right. All right, here we go.
In response to one of the early questions I asked of the defendant, I asked him if he was married, and he said, yes, he was. And the Commonwealth was raising the point that if that were true, that it might negate proof of the disinterment, which requires a human body or remains. Do you want to speak to your client about that?
A moment, Your Honor.
Yeah, Brian, just say you're widowed. Just say you're widowed, Brian, so we can get this plea and get on with jury selection on the murder charge. And there's Jim. There's Clerk Jim. And Judge Freniere happens to have the same color Stanley Cup.
Respectfully, I don't see this as a relevant or material issue. If the court wants clarification, I'm happy to approach sidebar.
Why don't we do that?
Okay.
Interesting. She's got the same color Stanley Cup, the Tiffany blue, same color as my walls, as Judge Cannone did. She's not seeing this as a material misrepresentation, Kelly Porges. I'm now calling Kelly Gorgeous. Kelly Gorgeous Porges. Will you allow it? Motion granted. All right, moving on. We've got some time to scooch here because none of us were expecting this today. We thought it was just going to be a boring speech to the jury panel. And his lawyers continue to speak to him.
I asked you whether you...
Okay.
All right. So, Mr. Walshe, earlier today, I asked you whether you were married, and you answered yes, you were married. Do you remember that?
Yes, Your Honor.
And is it correct that you were married to Ana Walshe for a period of time?
Yes, Your Honor.
And that under the law, death extinguishes marriage. It may not religiously or otherwise, spiritually, but under the law, when someone dies or when someone is dead, you can no longer be married to them. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Yes, Your Honor.
And so are you married today?
Your Honor, if I may, insofar as previous discussions, for purposes of a successful plea colloquy and meeting the elements of the crime, he is acquiescing to the fact that lawfully he is not married today.
All right. You heard what your lawyer just said? Agree with what your lawyer just said?
Yes, Your Honor, I agree.
All right. Anything else that we need to cover?
He's got to say
No,
it
Your
out
Honor.
loud.
All right. To the extent that the Commonwealth is objecting to the taking of the plea on other grounds, that is overruled. My job here is to make sure that I have a valid plea. And that means that the defendant is pleading guilty to the elements that the Commonwealth would have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt. And I have inquired sufficiently to assure myself that he has admitted to each of the elements of the two offenses of indictment 02 and 03.
Somebody just said that mainstream media is reporting that he pled guilty to the murder. That is not true. This is why I do not watch mainstream media. Don't watch it. He is not pleading guilty to the murder. He's pleading guilty to the two lesser charges so that he can go to trial only on the murder. And he must have some incredible defense that it wasn't me who did it. Somebody else did it. Or it wasn't me who did it. I woke up and she was dead and I just disposed of her body because I felt bad. So he has not pled guilty to the murder. So anybody who's reporting that on Main Street Media, they are wrong. Main Street Media. I just call it Main Street Media. They're wrong. Still going to trial on the murder charge, and the jury will start being picked today. So let's just keep watching and see if she sentences as him today. She might wait until the end of the whole entire case. I don't know. And we'll talk about why I think he might have done this after.
So I know we discussed at an earlier point the issue of victim notification, and I'll ask on the record now for the Commonwealth. Has the Commonwealth advised the victims of this case of the defendant's offer to change his plea to guilty?
Yes, we have notified the victims, Your Honor.
And based on our prior discussions, I understand that the victims may wish to address this court prior to any sentencing of the defendant.
That is correct, Your Honor.
All right. And both parties that we've talked about this have agreed that
The victims would be Ana's family, her mother, who I believe lives in Serbia. And I find it very interesting, and tell me whether or not you think it's interesting, that Ana Walshe's mother is nowhere to be seen. Why is she not here? Why is her family not here? I don't know if she has a father, but I do know that she has a mother. I don't see any of her friends and family in the courtroom. The children, the oldest child is 9. They are 9, I think 9, 7, and 5 right now. Where's her mother? So I believe she's going to put off sentencing until they can, get their victim impact statements together. But it struck me, of course, in the middle of the night, like most things do when I'm covering these cases.
we're not going to be sentencing the defendant today on the indictments that he's now pleading guilty to, correct?
That is correct, Your Honor.
Attorney Tipton, Borges? All right. And we'll give the victims a reasonable opportunity to address the court before sentencing, of course.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You understand, Mr. Walsh, that at the time that we do get to sentencing, that by law, I'm not bound to any recommendation that's made by the prosecution or your lawyers. You understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
And that I may impose any sentence permitted by law up to the maximum allowable sentence.
Yes, Your Honor.
Here come the sirens. Hey, look at
Having
Jim.
considered Mr. Walsh's,
Hold on. Look at Jim. If he can come to your screen without, you're not driving an 18-wheeler or, on scaffolding without safety equipment. What is on the ceiling, Jim? That's so interesting, Jim. Are we boring you? Clerk Jim? This is the most exciting thing that's happening in the courthouse today in Norfolk County.
having considered Mr. Walsh's criminal history, the government's proffered evidence, I will later consider the victim's statements to the court for matters for sentencing.
That makes sense.
I find that Mr. Walsh has met the requirements to tender a plea to counts 2 and to counts 3. I make the following findings. I find that the defendant is not presently under the influence of drugs or alcohol, and that he isn't reported that he's not presently suffering from any mental illness or condition, and that he's not presently taking any medications. I find that the defendant understands the nature of the charges and the consequences of his pleading guilty. I find that the defendant's change of plea to guilty with respect to each of the 2 indictments, 02 and 03, is made knowingly, willingly, intelligently, and voluntarily, and with the full knowledge of its consequences. I find that the defendant's change of plea on these 2 indictments to guilty is made upon and with the advice of competent counsel, and I find there's a factual basis in the evidence as has been summarized by the prosecution and limited by defense counsel on behalf of the defendant for each of the 2 indictments to which the defendant now pleads guilty. Accordingly, I accept Mr. Walsh's plea of guilty as to indictments 002 and 003. Anything else that counsel that we need to do on the change of plea?
No, Your Honor.
All right. So let me turn to impanelment.
Well, if you're just tuning in, we've had quite a morning already. Brian Walshe came into court. We thought we were just going to hear a boring speech on jury selection to the panel of 70 who I believe are coming in today to start picking the jury. Brian Walshe, just to remind you, there are 3 charges in Brian Walshe's indictment. The first is murder of his wife, Ana Walshe. The second was misleading a police investigation, which falls under the witness intimidation statute. And the third was unlawful disposal of a corpse, is what I would call it here. They call it disinterment of a body. Brian Walshe has elected to plead guilty to those 2 charges: misleading a police investigation, which carries a maximum penalty of up to 10 years in jail. And he admitted to the Commonwealth statement of the facts that the evidence that they had against him showed that he misled the police investigation, the Cohasset police and the MSP, by telling them that Ana Walshe left on the morning of January 1st of 2023 to go to Logan to get on an airplane. He also lied about his whereabouts. And because of his lies, they spent lots of money searching for Ana, including K-9 teams, the CERT team. They also had to drain the pool at the home, and they spent a lot of needless money investigating Ana's disappearance because of his lies. He pled guilty to that. Judge finds that is a voluntary plea, and she accepts that plea. He also pleaded to disposal of Ana Walshe's corpse, which carries a maximum of 3 years in prison. This brings me back to the case that we covered on Long Island with regard to those Babylon butchers, I called them, or the Amityville butchers. And there were 4 people who had been charged with dismembering and disposing of a corpse. And that was the only charge that they had. And shockingly, that crime carries a lesser prison term than something like misleading a police investigation or hurting a witness's feelings. Okay. And we know that because Aiden Carney is charged with something like I think he still has 10 counts of witness intimidation, each carrying up to 10 years in prison. And so Brian Walshe admitted to the fact that he disposed of Ana Walshe's body or her remains improperly. And so he is admitting that Ana Walshe is dead. This is not a Gone Girl situation anymore for everybody who surmised that. There was an extensive colloquy. The judge made sure that he was voluntarily and knowingly making this plea. She's not going to sentence him today because she's going to give the victims, i.e. the family of Ana Walshe, the opportunity to be heard with victim impact statements and such. I was wondering why her mom is not here from Serbia, and somebody said that she may have health issues that prevented her from traveling. Somebody also said that her sister is in the States. I don't know the extent of her family, so I just don't know. But the judge has accepted his guilty pleas, and now they will select the jury only on the murder charge. This is a strategic play by the defense. And in my opinion, it's a very smart play by the defense, because I don't know what his defense is going to be, whether his defense is going to be, I woke up and she was dead and I disposed of her body because whatever, XYZ. They don't have to really prove anything, but the Commonwealth is going to have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that Brian Walshe murdered Ana Walshe, and they're going to have a hard time doing that without a body, in my opinion, because the jury's not going to hear about his guilty pleas on these other charges. You picking up what I'm laying down, folks? Are you picking up what I'm laying down? All right. No, that doesn't mean we're not going to learn what Proctor's text revealed. In fact, the opposite, because Proctor's text, that's a great question, and I just saw it fly by, Lori Van Allen. I can't even find it to highlight it. They're going to use those texts to show bias in the investigation. And they're going to say Proctor was so biased. I mean, I think I'm just talking out loud here, spitballing with you, brainstorming. Proctor was so biased in the investigation, and perhaps maybe he even shared nudes of Ana Walshe. Who knows? That the investigation was so tainted by Michael Proctor and his bias. There's no way that they did a proper investigation, and therefore he's got to walk on the murder. And this could be a very smart play. We're going to see how it turns out. We're going to see how it turns out. Brilliant attorney, says Jessica Lee. Let's keep moving and see what they have to say about continuing to start picking today for the murder case, which is scheduled to start with opening statements on December 1st. Okay? All right. Here we go.
I think you each had an opportunity last night to look at the questionnaire, and I know that defense counsel asked for an additional question to be added. I did add that. All right, I do have the right version. Counsel, if you want to come up, you can take a look at what I added.
All right, we have a little bit of room to scooch here. Oh, a lot of room, actually. Did the judge leave the bench? Hang on. Did they force them to turn off the cameras? They may have forced them to turn off the cameras while the panel came in. I think that's what's going on because they still have the camera up. So we'll keep it on because I believe that they're going to put the cameras back on after the panel is here. And then we are going to get to watch them address the panel. I'm going to pull up the indictment so that you can have a better idea of exactly what we're talking about and exactly what the charges were. Interesting. Yeah, the children are in state custody. Here's the original indictment. I'll take this down for a second. I know it seems crazy, right? That 3 years for taking apart a body and disposing of it and 10 years for lying to the police. Yep, that's what it is. Okay, so this is the original indictment. The grand jury came back with this indictment on the 5th Thursday of March, 2023. And the first count that he did not plead guilty to, which will still go to trial, is that on or about January 1st of 2023 at Cohasset in the county of Norfolk, Brian Walshe did assault and beat Ana Walshe with intent to murder her, and by such assault and beating did kill and murder said Ana Walshe in violation of Massachusetts General Law 265, Section 1. People get all up in arms about the beat and assault. That is just the way the statute reads. So it doesn't mean that he actually did that, but it means that he killed her, and that's just the way the statute reads. This true bill was signed back in on March 30th of 2023. He's been in jail ever since. He's been incarcerated since. The second count is that Brian Walshe did willfully mislead a police officer directly or indirectly with the intent to impede, obstruct, delay, prevent, or otherwise interfere with a criminal investigation in violation of Massachusetts General Law 268, Section 13B. And we went over that, and the allegation is that he lied to both the Cohasset police and the MSP, causing them to incur many costs searching for Ana Walshe. He pled guilty today to that count. And also he pled guilty to count 3, which is on or about in between January 1st, 2023 to January 10th of 2023 in Cohasset in the county of Norfolk. Brian Walshe did, while not being lawfully authorized by the proper authorities, willfully conveyed away a human body or the remains in violation of Massachusetts General Law 272, Section 71. I just want to take a look at that real fast. Here it is. Statute is entitled Disinterring Bodies. Whoever, not being lawfully authorized by the proper authorities, willfully digs up, disinters, removes, or conveys away a human body or the remains thereof, or knowingly aids in such disinterment, removal, or conveying away, and whoever is accessory thereto, either before or after the fact, shall be punished by imprisonment in the state prison for not more than 3 years, or in jail for not more than 2.5 years, or by a fine of not more than $4,000. So I think technically, he's been in jail already for 2.5 years. Could he get time served on that charge? That will remain to be seen. She's not going to sentence him until after she can hear from the victims. Let's take a look at the specific section involving lying to the police or misleading a police investigation. 268.13b. I mean, this falls under it's the same witness intimidation statute. It just refers to misleading the police. So let's take a look at this. Intimidation, Mrs. Massachusetts General Law, Section 268.13b, intimidation of witnesses, jurors, and persons furnishing information in connection with criminal proceedings. And Section A has a whole bunch of definitions. Is that justice for Ana Walshe? Well, he's still being tried on the murder charge, Kathy Smith, so there still is a murder trial coming. He's pled guilty to 2 of the counts. That's something. Whether or not the Commonwealth has enough evidence beyond a reasonable doubt to convict him of her murder without a body remains to be seen. We're here for it. Section A refers to a whole bunch of definitions. They define investigator, harass. Section B, this is what he was charged under. Whoever willfully, either directly or indirectly, threatens, attempts, or causes physical, emotional, or economic injury or property damage to, or conveys a gift, offer, or promise of anything of value to, or, and this is what he is charged with, misleads, intimidates, or harasses another person who is A, a witness or potential witness, B, a person who was or is aware of information, records, documents, or objects that relate to a violation of a criminal law, C, judge, juror, grand juror, attorney, victim, witness, advocate, police officer, correction officer. There it is. That's what he's charged with. Misleading a police officer, an investigator. With the intent to, or with reckless disregard for the fact that it may impede, obstruct, delay, prevent, or otherwise interfere with a criminal investigation at any stage. That is what he was charged with. And it says here, if the proceeding in which the misconduct is directed at is the investigation or prosecution of a crime punishable by life imprisonment, or the parole of a person convicted of a crime punishable by life imprisonment, such person shall be punished by imprisonment in the state prison for not more than 20 years, or by imprisonment in the House of Correction for not more than 2.5 years, or by a fine of not more than $10,000, or by such fine and imprisonment. If it is not a crime punishable by life, which is what Aiden Carney is charged with, then it's punishment for not more than 10 years in state prison, or by imprisonment in the House of Corrections for not more than 2.5 years, or a fine of not less than $1,000 to $5,000. How long have they known that he would plead guilty to these two? I don't know, probably as long as we have, about 5 minutes. They may have just decided this morning. I don't know. I don't know if we'll ever know. They may have been talking about it. They may have been in talks to talk about it. And they may have just decided it this morning. Just see if their camera is still up. One moment, hold please. We still have their camera up. I think they're coming back. They didn't cut it off yet, right? Hold on. I mean, it looks like their chat is still moving. All right, well, we'll stay tuned. We're going to stay tuned. Let's take a look at the murder charge. Here's the murder charge for which he will still stand trial. We just looked at that. 265 section 1. Let's see what that maximum penalty is. I'm pretty sure it's life, but let's just double check. And here we have .265 section 1, murder defined. Murder committed with deliberately premeditated malice, aforethought, or with extreme atrocity or cruelty, or in the commission or attempted commission of a crime punishable with death or imprisonment for life, is murder in the first degree. Murder which does not appear to be in the first degree is murder in the second degree. Petty treason shall be prosecuted and punished as murder, and the degree of murder shall be found by the jury. Just double check that he's charged with first degree. He is. He's charged with first degree. So in order to prove that, they're going to have to prove that it was deliberately premeditated with malice aforethought, meaning he had the mens rea to do it, or with extreme atrocity or cruelty. They may throw some lesser includeds in there. That's going to remain to be seen. But as of right now, he's only charged with murder 1. And I think that was a pretty smart move on the part of the defense. Let's see what the chat has to say about this. Good morning, Betsy. Thank you so much for your early morning $10 super chat. I appreciate you so much, and I love you with all of my heart even more. Let me just put this back up so you guys don't think that we're missing it, because we're not going to miss it if they come back. I think they were just taking a short break. It is a clever move by the defense, says run away Lizzie, as they have no DNA or weapon, right, and no body. Now I'm super curious as to what his defense is going to be. Was it accidental? Did somebody else do it? Did he just wake up and she, was gone? Did she fall down the stairs? I don't know. We haven't heard a lot about the autopsy. I don't think they have anything to prove premeditation either, unless they're going to try and say that he found out that she was having the affair. Right? I mean, yeah, they have the Google searches, but the Google searches are all relative to disposing of a body, right? None of them are how to take someone's life. That's an interesting point, Bob, but all of the Google searches that I remember off the top of my head have to do with disposal of the body, not with how to take someone's life. And so that's interesting. That's interesting. Thank you, Betsy, for your super chat. On top, thank you for your super sticker. Sandra Beatles fan says, I pay $7.99 for premium light per month. So that price isn't just for students. Oh, I don't know what premium light is, but I recommend everyone who complains about the commercials on YouTube to try and get yourself some YouTube premium so you don't have to suffer through the commercials, because they are very sufferable. In fact, somebody said the other day, why do I see a Celebrate commercial on your videos on YouTube? I'm like, I have no idea, but I guess that's pretty smart. Guess that's pretty smart marketing, because we talk about Celebrate a lot. Wow. Oh, wow. Good morning, Mama She. Thanks for being here for 15 months. And Veronica says that I'm her live go-to person. Thank you. Thank you for being here for 8 months. I think in song lyrics, Jen, thanks for your 10, says, would a change of plea change what evidence is admissible in the remaining charge case? It may shift some of the motions in limine. And so, listen, a trial is a living, breathing thing, right? And things change. So we're going to have to see how it goes. It's going to be interesting, though. I can promise you that. I'm a little confused about the order that she made yesterday about the Zoom being the only streaming platform, because the prior media order said there could be a live camera in the courtroom, one camera, a pool camera, and also a still camera. So I'm not sure if her Zoom order is overruling the live streaming of Court TV and Law and Crime and News 10. We're going to have to wait and see on that as well. Hang on. Thank you to everyone that's sending me Karen's lawsuit, but I can't do that right now because we're still doing this, but I will do it later. I promise you. I will. On top says he misses the fan. Thanks for your super sticker. Alicia says, how's he going to get out from under the disposal? Well, he's not, because he admitted to it. He pled guilty to it. So I don't think that they're going to be able to bring any evidence about the disposal. Does that exclude all of the video of him throwing things in dumpsters? It might, right? And without all of that, I don't know. We're going to have to see what their arguments are about whether that stuff should still come in, being that he pled guilty to the disposal. It's an excellent question. Thanks, Alicia, for being here for 11 months. Julie says, then where is their body, Brian? Insane. Well, it was taken away by the dumpsters. I mean, it's taken away. The dumpsters were taken away and incinerated. And so they could only recover certain things from, I think, one of the dumpsters where they found the rug and the Tyvek suit. And I think the hacksaw, right? Did they find the hacksaw in the dumpster? Because I saw some people saying yesterday that they found the hacksaw in the Jeep. But I thought they found it in the dumpster. Buying items to dismember and dispose is different from committing the actual crime, I would submit to you. There are people who dispose of things, but they didn't cause the death, right? Very strategic. David says, does this eliminate the Google searches about getting rid of the body? Well, that's what I'm thinking too, David, because I don't remember any Google searches about how to take someone's life. And if he's pled guilty to the disposal, then that's off the table, right? Bob says, no way. No way what, Bob? It's a great question. Massachusetts is a weird state, though, so it's hard to opine on things where things are not always what they seem to be, right? In the land of the lost. And so sometimes we have to put Chaka up here because Chaka is from the land of the lost, and sometimes that's where we feel like we are. Thank you, Pinky, for loving my pauses and commentary. I got a lot of shit for it, but most of the people like it, so that's that. Thank you, Pinky, for being here for 16 months. Julie says, watching court cases in Norfolk County never disappoints. Thanks, Julie, for your 10. And we get a Bevy says, just for clarification purposes, and I mixed up, or was it the same month as John O'Keefe's unalive? No, it was 1 year later. It was 1 year later. Ana Walshe was 2023. John O'Keefe was 2022. Sandra Birchmore was 2021. Kelly says, what better company for job searching? None. Oh, congratulations. I mean, good luck looking for a job. Good luck, Kelly. We're all rooting for you. You got this. Cupcakes are the best. Thanks for being here for 7 months. Ms. 808 says, now that the court found him competent to stand trial, does that limit the defense's ability to raise mental health defense later? Yes, I believe it does. And if they were going to use it as a defense, they would have had to notify the other side. And I don't believe that there's been any notification of that, as far as I know. Whereas Jim says, love you, Melanie. Imagine a world where we only had Julie Grant. Did anybody watch her interview with Dick Harpootlian the other day? It was wild. It was wild. He got so mad at her. She was like, I mean, really, based on the mountain of evidence against your client, do you really think? And like, of course, Dick Harpootlian is writing a book. He was Alec Murdaugh's attorney and still is. And he was like, what are you talking about? The mountain of evidence against my client. There was no forensic evidence against him. There was no biological evidence. He cooked her. Defense Bob says the videos will get in. The state must prove the murder. The videos of him disposing of things that he already admitted to disposing of. I don't know. So we're going to wait and see. It sure is going to be interesting. And I hope it's just not Zoom. I hope it's going to be on, they're going to be able to stream it and we're going to be able to see the witnesses and the lawyers and get like an actual lawyer's face instead of just the back of their head. But the way that this, oh, good. WCBB says jurors are entering the courtroom. Awesome. GB says, yeah, she asked him about if he regrets representing Murdaugh. Like, girl, what? I know. Julie Grant had such a bad take also on Karen Reed. Remember, she thought Karen Reed was totally innocent in the beginning, and then she got to be friends with people like Jennifer McCabe and Kate Peter and people like that, Jennifer Coffendorfer. And then she was just like, Karen Reed is guilty as hell. I hate Karen. I don't know that she ever said I hate Karen Reed, but she did have Big Case Mike on her show more than once, who said, I hate Karen Reed. I hate that woman. Remember that Big Case Mike? Dick loves representing Murdaugh. I know. Liz says this strategy is fascinating. We're going to have to see how it works out. Yeah, I heard the jurors are coming back into the courtroom. Thank you for that update. And so we will listen to a little speech. Well, maybe we'll listen to the attorneys also give their spiels. Something is wrong with YouTube. I can't unblock people because like if you click on a YouTube link, it doesn't take you to like the YouTube video or the YouTube page that you want to go to. It's only taking you to wherever you were on YouTube last. And so that still has, oh wait, it just got fixed. Okay. So hold on. Send me this. Amy, you're not blocked, so I'm not sure if I'm not sure why you think that you are. You sent me an email, but it may have been a glitch because you're fine. Talk amongst yourselves for 1 second. I need to download the Karen Reed lawsuit so we can talk about that in a bit. Barbara, you are all set. Well, we're not going to get to see the actual jury selection process area. We're just going to hear the judge's speech to the jury. And what we found yesterday, what we heard from her yesterday, is that she's going to require that all of the jurors who serve on this case completely stay off of social media for the pendency of the trial. And that is going to be 4 weeks, and it's going to be 2 weeks until the trial starts. So for 6 weeks, they're going to be expected to stay off of social media altogether, not just social media regarding this case. Oh, the jurors are being sworn in? Okay, thank you. Good. So we're just still waiting. They can't show the juror. Obviously, they can't show the jury panel. So she's going to ask that all the jurors who do serve have to stay off social media for the entirety, at least 6 weeks, and no news at all. No news at all. So that's going to be a big ask, and it may limit the people that are going to want to stay on the jury or want to serve on this jury. People try and get out of jury duty anyway, so this is just going to give them one more reason to not want to be on it, right? Oh, yeah, I am in no mood either. I was so not feeling well this morning and I almost wasn't going to stream because I didn't really think they were going to show much. And so I was like trying to rally and pull myself together. And I was like, all right, I can do it. I can power through. I can do it. And then this happened. So I'm glad I did. But, people pushing your buttons, Law 2's militated mod. It's wild. Nudes? Are there going to be nudes? I guess we're going to find out. Tracy, yesterday, didn't Judge Freniere rule that previous bad acts could not come in? Does this count? Well, this would not be a prior bad act. This would be a subsequent bad act after the murder, right? But it's my understanding the jury's not going to hear about these guilty pleas. And they shouldn't, unless they're watching the news today while they're sitting in the jury room, and then they'll know about them. But they're probably going to be questioned about that. It's very prejudicial for them to know that he pled guilty to these things, because then they could just say, oh, well, he pled guilty to that, so of course he's guilty of murdering her too. He pled guilty to misleading a police investigation, and he pled guilty to improper disposal of a corpse. And there was a colloquy, and he admitted to it. So if you didn't watch it, rewind and watch it later, because we're still waiting for the jury to come, the panel to come in so that the judge can address them. Thank you, Tracy, for your 5. And Diane says, every day I check for a live stream from you. Love that you give us commentary. Thank you. Thank you very much. This was very last minute, so there was no notice. I just went on as soon as I saw that Boss Tim was going to be streaming it. I thought it was going to be quick and one and done and we'd be out of here. But no, we're still here and it's exciting. Thank you, Elaine. Elaine sends $100 on Venmo and says, good morning, working and lurking. Another fine week on the tubes of you. Thank you for hand feeding us. Thank you, Elaine. You're so very kind and generous to this channel. As always, you're amazing. You're amazing. Jeffrey said, never talk to the police lawyer up. Funny story, Jeffrey. He did have a lawyer, Tracy Miner, with him almost every time that he talked to the police and gave his statements. And all of his statements were recorded. Shocking, I know, considering it was Bukhenik and Proctor. They recorded all of his statements. His attorney was there. She's a white collar attorney for the most part. She represented him in his fraud cases for selling the fake Andy Warhol paintings on eBay. And he was with her most of the times. And she was involved in the consent agreement with Lynn Beland, who was Michael Marcy's right hand at the time, to search Brian Walshe's phones. And listen, if that motion went the other way and that evidence was suppressed, I do not think that you would have seen a guilty plea today to either of those charges. But they're still trying him on the first-degree murder charge. And here we sit. They're back. Okay, did I mute her or did they mute her? Hang on.
We choose jurors who will approach this case with a truly open mind and have no reason to favor one side or the other. I'm going to ask you questions as a group by a written questionnaire. And then the lawyers and I will speak to you separately, one by one, in this courtroom. You'll be seated in the witness stand. And I will ask you questions. And then the lawyers, as you know from the video, play their own important role in the selection of jurors. And they have the opportunity to ask you additional questions. Please listen carefully to each of the questions that are asked of you, whether I'm asking or the attorneys are. And we need your honest answers to all of the questions. There aren't any right answers or wrong answers. Our unified goal at this point in time is to pick a jury that is as fair and impartial as is humanly possible. And what that means in terms of fairness and impartiality, in terms of jury service, is we're looking for jurors who will decide this case on two things and only two things: the facts and the evidence that you see and hear inside this courtroom, and the law as I teach it to you. If you can do that, then you can be a fair and impartial juror. Now let me give you a brief description of this case. As I mentioned, this is the trial of a criminal case. The Commonwealth alleges that on December 30th, 2022, Ana Walshe returned home to Cohasset from her job in Washington, D.C. to be with her husband, the defendant, Brian Walshe, and their children to celebrate the new year. At that time, Ana Walshe lived and worked in Washington, D.C., and would return to the family home in Cohasset, where her husband and 3 small children continued to reside. The Commonwealth alleges on January 4th, 2023, Ana's employer called police to report that she was missing. Cohasset police went to the Walshe home, where the defendant reported that Ana was missing and alleged that she had left the house early the morning on January 1st and that he had not heard from her since then. Days later, police searched a dumpster outside the defendant's mother's Swampscott apartment and found clothing that belonged to Ana Walshe, Ana Walshe's COVID vaccination card, towels with red-brown stains, a hatchet, and a hacksaw. The defendant is charged with murdering Ana Walshe.
That answers my question about the hacksaw. Those are all the things they found in the dumpster in Swampscott behind his mother's building. All right, I'm going to take that back because many of you may not be aware of this. So she's going to list the things that were found in the dumpster.
Days later, police searched a dumpster outside the defendant's mother's Swampscott apartment and found clothing that belonged to Ana Walshe, Ana Walshe's COVID vaccination card, towels with red-brown stains, a hatchet, and a hacksaw. The defendant is charged with murdering Ana Walshe. The defendant denies these allegations, is presumed innocent, and has pleaded not guilty. I will now ask the lawyers to introduce themselves and to tell you who they represent. We'll start first with.
Excellent point, Jenna. So here's what happened. This is why they had to take such a long break, because the judge had to change her whole spiel to now align with the fact that Brian Walshe has pled guilty to disposing of the body, and he's pled guilty to misleading the investigation. So he's no longer charged with those things. The jury's not going to hear about those things. The jury's not going to hear that he pled guilty to those things. And the only thing that this jury is going to be tasked with deciding is whether or not Brian Walshe is guilty beyond a reasonable doubt of murder in the first degree. That is it. Right. And the only search that occurred prior to Ana's disappearance was what's the best state to divorce for a man. And so is that going to be enough? You know, I don't even think that they've got enough evidence to show that he actually knew that she was having an affair with this guy, William Fastow. He did Google William Fastow's name, but William Fastow was the real estate broker who sold them that Washington, D.C. condo. So yeah, everything's scrolling along the body along the body. It's scrolling along the bottom. What happened this morning? If you weren't here, you missed the guilty pleas. So they're going to trial only on the murder, and the jury's not going to know that he pled guilty to those things. So she had to change her whole spiel, and now the attorneys are going to introduce themselves. Here we go.
The Commonwealth, ADA Connor.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Greg Connor. I'm an assistant district attorney for the Norfolk District Attorney's Office, and I will be representing the Commonwealth along with
Morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Tracy Cusick. I'm also an assistant district attorney at the Norfolk County District Attorney's Office.
And I'm also an assistant district attorney, and my name is Ann Yaz, and I will also be representing the Commonwealth.
And for the defendant, Mr. Walsh, Attorney Tipton?
Notably absent, Laura McLaughlin.
My name is Larry Tipton. I represent Mr. Walsh.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Kelly Porges, and I'm also here on behalf of Mr. Walsh.
Good morning.
Thank you.
Here.
Let me talk a little bit about the trial for the schedule. The schedule for the trial, try it that way. Today, as you know, is Tuesday, November the 18th. We plan to select the jury before Thanksgiving, and we will start the trial itself on Monday, December the 1st, 2025. The lawyers estimate that it will take between 3 to 4 weeks to try this case and to present all the evidence. The jury will then meet to discuss and consider the evidence and issues in the case, and we call that deliberation, to reach a decision, which we call a verdict. There is no set time for a jury to decide a case. The jury takes as much time as it needs to unanimously decide the case. During the trial, while the evidence is being presented, our typical daily schedule will be between the hours of 9 a.m. and 4 p.m. We take a morning break at 11 a.m. and a lunch break between the hours of 1 and 2 p.m.
9 to 4.
There may be a day here or there, typically on a Friday, that we might suspend early depending on the pace of the case.
And of course, if Turtle Boy is in the building, like on December 5th, we may only have a half day because his hearing is at 2 p.m. Somebody said she's Judge Susan Lucci, and I will allow it because there's also Judge Stanley Tucci in this building. Remember Judge Halal? Yes, I do interrupt and commentate and also make jokes. Deal with it.
When the jury begins its deliberations, the jury will deliberate from the period of 9 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. And again, we set no pace for the deliberations. The jury takes the time it needs to decide its case. Before we begin selecting jurors, I want to briefly explain some important legal rules that the jury must follow. And at the end of the trial, I'll give you more detailed instructions on the legal rules that apply in this case. Let me start by teaching you about the presumption of innocence and proof beyond a reasonable doubt. Every person who is accused of a crime is presumed to be innocent of that crime. Mr. Walsh is presumed innocent of the charge in this case. That means the jury must consider Mr. Walsh to be innocent at the beginning of the trial and must still consider him to be innocent at the end of the trial, unless the prosecution proves beyond a reasonable doubt through evidence presented during the trial that Mr. Walsh committed the crime charged. The fact that the Commonwealth has charged Mr. Walsh with this crime through an indictment and that he is now standing trial is not evidence. And it's not relevant to whether the defendant is guilty or he is not. An indictment is not evidence whatsoever that the defendant is guilty of any crime. An indictment is merely a formal accusation that the defendant may have committed a crime in order that he or she may be brought to court for a trial before a judge and a jury. It is that jury that is to be selected from among your number, and that jury alone, which must decide whether the Commonwealth has proved the defendant guilty beyond a reasonable doubt of the offense that has been alleged. Again, based on the evidence and the law that is presented during the trial of this case. The defendant does not need to do anything to convince you that he is innocent. He doesn't have to explain anything to the jury. He doesn't have to testify, call or question any witnesses, or provide any evidence at all, because you must presume he is innocent. Instead, the Commonwealth has to prove the charge against Mr. Walshe beyond a reasonable doubt. If you serve on this jury at the end of the trial, you may not find the defendant guilty of the crime charged unless the prosecution convinces you beyond a reasonable doubt that Mr. Walshe committed that crime. If you are left with a reasonable doubt of Mr. Walsh's guilt on the charge, then your verdict must be not guilty on the charge. Now let me turn to some important rules that you must follow during our jury selection process, and in fact, until your jury service is over. It's important that you keep an open mind about this case. Do not discuss this case or the questions we ask during our jury selection process with any other potential juror or with anyone else. Do not send any electronic communications or posts. In fact, you should be well informed by now that your phones should be off. And if they're not, make sure they are. Do not look up anything on any device to include your phone. Don't do any research about jury selection or about the case or the people involved in the case. If you are chosen to serve on the jury, you may tell people that you are serving on a jury here in Norfolk Superior Court, and you may give them the trial schedule and how long your jury service is likely to last. But you must not tell them anything else about the case until the trial is over and the jury has reached its verdict. Let me next talk about the jury selection process. When the lawyers and I ask you questions, and many of them are going to come in a written questionnaire, but then you'll come back into the courtroom and have individual questions asked of you. We're not trying to pry or make you feel uncomfortable. Instead, we ask you these questions to determine whether you're able to serve as that fair and impartial juror, whether you have a reason to favor one side or the other, and whether you're confident that you can decide this case based only on the evidence that will be presented during the trial and the legal instructions I teach to you. It's very important that those of you who are chosen to serve on this jury be able to commit yourselves to deciding this case, again, based only on the evidence you hear or see in this courtroom, and not on anything else, such as your personal experiences or the experiences of someone that's close to you that you might know about. It's also very important that those of you who serve on this jury not allow the nature of the allegations in this case to make you lose sight of the question that the jury must decide, which is whether the Commonwealth has or has not proved beyond a reasonable doubt that the defendant committed the crime charged in this case. I will instruct you that the jury must decide this case based only on their evaluation of the evidence presented at trial, and that they may not base their verdict on anything that wasn't admitted into evidence, and also may not decide this case based on sympathy, prejudice, anger, or any other emotion. All jurors must be able to commit to following these instructions so that they can be fair and impartial and decide this case based only on the evidence we hear and see in the trial. If we do not choose you to serve on the jury, please don't be offended. Sometimes a person who could be a fair juror in one case might have difficulty being fair in another. For example, a potential juror who knows someone involved in a case or has a personal experience that is very similar to the issue raised in a case might have difficulty being completely fair to both sides. So please keep these thoughts in mind as you answer both the written and the oral questions. So jurors, I remind you that there are no right or wrong answers to any of the questions on the questionnaires. And in a moment, the court officers are going to hand out those questionnaires, and I will give you an opportunity, some time to fill out those questionnaires. When you finished filling out the questionnaire, fold it in half and put it somewhere safe. Don't show it to anyone else. Don't share the questions or your thoughts about anything in the questionnaire with anyone else. Doing this questionnaire and answering our questions is a solitary experience. You and you alone. When you safeguard the questionnaire, at some point during the day, you're going to be brought back up to, you're going to be moved to a different courtroom, and you're going to be brought back in smaller groups to go through the individual questioning. Don't show anyone that questionnaire until you hand it to me when you come to the side of the bench and are seated in the witness box, and then I'll take the questionnaire from you. As you also learned during the video this morning, the lawyers play an important role in all aspects of the trial. And with regard to jury selection, the parties have the ability to exercise what we call peremptory challenges. That means that the parties can strike a certain number of jurors in a case. Don't be offended if you're not seated as a juror in the case. We appreciate your sacrifices that you made to be here today. Once we finish our questions, I'll let you know whether you've been seated on the jury or not. And that's the process for today. Fate plays a role in your day today. And by that, I mean questionnaires, or the numbers on the questionnaires that I have, start with number 120 and go to number 241. We see people in order of their number. So if your number is closer to 120, you're going to be seen earlier in the day. If it's closer to that 241, later. Whatever your number is, I appreciate, and the parties appreciate your patience. So at this time, where are the questionnaires? The court officers are going to pass out the questionnaires. If you need a writing implement, let the court officers know. I'm going to give you an opportunity to fill out those questionnaires now. Jim, do you have a, I left this, no.
Can't believe Jim is going to be the clerk.
Uncovered, so I have no, and then I will need the list for you.
No, it's an internal joke to myself.
It's all dried up. I left it out, unfortunately.
Okay.
Admittedly, Canva is back online, so I was making my thumbnail. But did she tell the jury that she wanted them to stay off social media and not watch the news for the entire pendency of the trial? Because I must have missed that part. I didn't hear her say that. Oh, if that was Jim sneezing, I can tell Jim sneezes. I can tell Jim's coughs. I can tell his sneezes. I can tell everything about Jim. I could just hear it. She didn't say that, right, Jenna? You would think that that would be an important thing. But maybe she doesn't want them to, like, check out right away. She wants them to fill out the questionnaires. And then she's going to call them up one by one. And this could take, a long time. So it's a good thing they've got 2 weeks between now and December 1st. She does remind me of Susan Lucci. Which, as a side note, when I was studying for the bar a million years ago, I was in the Hamptons studying for the bar because I took my bar review class out there because I thought if I'm going to be studying for the bar, might as well, have a beach chair and an umbrella. do my bar review class in Southampton and go to the beach every day. And I waitress at night and I waitress at a restaurant. And Susan Lucci used to come into the restaurant all the time. She's got a massive house out there on Dune Road. And she was very nice. Yeah, I don't know if that's in the questionnaire, but we'll keep the camera up for as long as they're going to keep the camera up. She was very, very nice. There were some celebrities that came in that were very rude to the wait staff, but she was not one of them. Thank you, Nana Bear, for your earlier super chat. Will the jury know about this? No, they will not know about the guilty pleas to the other charges. And so it is my opinion, and Bob from Defense Diaries was in here too, and his opinion as well, that they're going to have to relitigate which of those Google searches are going to come in. But she still hasn't decided which of the Google searches are coming in. And Bob went back and looked. Thank you, Bob, for doing that. The Lord's work. The only Google search before the Ana Walshe went missing had to do with divorce and which state is the best state for a man to divorce in. And I think he also Googled, I recall he Googled William Fastow's name.
So, not the first time, huh?
And so the jury will not know about the guilty pleas because it's too prejudicial, Nana Bear. The only thing that they're going to have to decide is whether or not Brian Walshe murdered Ana Walshe with premeditation. I think deliberate indifference is in their statute. We looked at it earlier. Sage says, sorry, I'm late. Are you going to go over Karen's filing? I think I have about it in my inbox. I don't have the entire lawsuit, though. It looks like it's just a cover page. So I'm going to, after this is over, we will take a look at that. Whose picture is this? Oh, that reminds me also. Do you remember when Alec Murdaugh was tried down there? And I think it was Colleton County, right? And his like great granddaddy's portrait was in the courtroom and they had to take down the great granddaddy's portrait because, you know, it was a little prejudicial that his great granddaddy would be watching over his trial. And if you haven't watched the Hulu series, I highly recommend. Dick Harpootlian did take some offense to it, that there were some things that were chronologically wrong when he interviewed with Julie Grant the other day. And that was an interesting thing. HB Sunrider said, please, what did the prosecution object to that was overruled? Thanks for being here for 5 months. The prosecution objected because when Brian Walshe was asked in the colloquy what his marital status is, he said he was married, but then he was pleading guilty to disposing of Ana Walshe's body. And so prosecutor said, I don't want this plea to be invalid, but he can't say he's married if he's admitting that she's dead. So they had to straighten that out. And that was, it was eventually overruled. Oh, Mrs. Bouquet. Harrison said, thank you for his treasure. Oh, you think you're very welcome. Very welcome. I hope he likes it. And you did send me an email, right, about my favorite Spider-Man character. And to be honest, or my favorite Spider-Man, I'm going to have to put a poll in the chat because I did not watch any of the Spider-Man movies, sadly. But I will ask the cupcakes. Harrison wants to know, who was your favorite Spider-Man? Andrew Garfield, Tobey Maguire, or Tom Holland? Because he is going to hang my headshot that I sent him and signed. He's the only person who ever asked me for one. And I have all these printed up headshots from, you know, back in the day before everything was digital. That's where he wants to put it on his wall. Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, or Tom Holland? Chatters. Everyone says Toby. I got a lot of Tobys in here. And a lot of Tom Hollands. So, Mrs. Bouquet, if you guys are still here, you can count up the responses because I didn't put a poll up. I'm just flattered that anybody wanted a headshot of me. I even got some special Sharpies to sign them. Silver and gold, because, you know, headshots are dark. Mine are dark anyway. And you can't use a black Sharpie on them. So thank you, Harrison, for even wanting one. And we love you. And we're sending you all the good vibes. Duncan says, do you know Massachusetts courtrooms have enough room for the prosecution and defendant tables to go side by side? Is there no room anywhere over there in Massachusetts? I don't know. This is a massive courtroom. It's just, you know, that's the way we do things in Massachusetts, Mr. Duncan, Idaho. That's the way we do things in Massachusetts. And I see a lot of Tobys in the chat. That's just the way they do things. It's like the prosecution and the judge are one. And so the prosecution's table is attached to the judge's bench. I don't like it. I find it to be offensive. And, oh, Heather says, I live in East Hampton. Which restaurant? It was called the Ambassador Inn. It's in Quogue. Now I think it's the Stone Creek Inn. But it's that building that's like a house, and it's right on Montauk Highway, in between like Hampton Bays and Quogue. But technically, it's Quogue. Is it still the Stone Creek Inn? I think so. Yeah, I don't know why they do it like that, but I think it just it's a bad look. But you know, this courthouse has been there for over 100 years. This is, I believe, the same exact courtroom in which Sacco and Vanzetti were tried. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it is. That is not Brennan. That is Greg Connor. No, don't start any rumors. Greg Connor. And Tom says 11 a.m. break for Jimmy's airplane. Shot in the neck. A new filing in Aaron Spencer. I have that as well. Thanks, Venus Blue. Appreciate you. There's more than that, actually. There's two, and they're very long, and I haven't read them yet, but there are two. Steve says, lots to like about Judge Freniere, engineering degree, U.S. Air Force, BC law, corporate litigation. What a contrast with the disastrous Cannone. Important to point out, my viewers' opinions are not always my opinions, but I didn't like her decision on the motion to suppress, because I think that that was all fruits of the poisonous tree. I guess it's moot now because he pled guilty to the disposal of the corpse, likely because it only carries a maximum of 3 years, and he's already been incarcerated for almost 3 years. So he may get time served on that charge. Interesting thought, right? Thank you, Steve, for your 5. Andrea says, Tom Holland is my only answer because his movie was my husband and my first date, married 6 years later to the day. Oh, that's awesome. How cute. Congratulations on finding happiness. And that's such a great story that you will always have. Sage says, I sent a 46-page, one subject, Karen Reed filing. Thank you. And Krista says, does anyone else suspect maybe Walsh's mother is responsible for the crime committed? I don't know. You could ask the chat. Remember what happened with Donna Adelson, and she wasn't indicted. The FBI didn't come for her until how long? How many years? 10 years or more? The FBI doesn't quit. So, you know, their ice cream truck might take a while, but eventually it'll find you. What do you guys think? Oh, it is Kelsey Fitzsimmons' 29th birthday today. Happy birthday to Kelsey Fitzsimmons. Skyview says, I think Mom and Anna got in a fight. Not enough evidence. I think we're going to have to, this is going to be a great trial to watch. And I still want some clarification on whether Zoom is the only thing we're going to get to watch. Because like I said, that prior media order does say that there can be a pool camera, meaning one for motion pictures and also a still camera. So there's that. But apparently they're going to keep the camera on for as long as the judge will let them. I mean, they can't show the jurors, so I don't know why they haven't been
Jurors,
forced.
take the amount of time that you need to thoroughly fill out the questionnaire. But when you are done, as I said, safeguard the questionnaire somewhere and just look up so I can sort of get a visual check as to how many people might need a little bit more time.
John Jackson says Colorado Buffs coach Deion Sanders will not return next season medical. I didn't see that breaking news, but had a feeling that it could happen, but has it been confirmed? Do you have receipts on that? I mean, we had a terrible season, but I don't know that it's been confirmed that he's leaving. They're going to owe him a lot of money though, right? He's got a big contract. Kai says, I'm behind, but how the heck do you plead guilty to improper disposal, but not the murder? You're what? Just match my what? Well, yeah. I mean, listen, Somebody could dispose of something that they did not cause. I mean, think of it. There's been a lot of cases like that, actually, where someone else disposed of a body that was the life was taken by someone else. I mean, maybe I'm watching too much Tulsa King, but it seems to happen in every episode in Tulsa King, right? The judge said Zoom only. I'm still not clear on that, though. I mean, I saw you put that in the chat a couple of times. She said Zoom is their only streaming platform, but I don't consider broadcast television to be the same thing as streaming. And so I'll see. If it's only Zoom and we have to deal with it, then we have to deal with it. But I don't know why she would do that, because the pool cameras in Norfolk County always know. Thank you. Thank you, Amy. That's what I thought too. Amy says, hold on. That is nothing. I do believe the Zoom format order was for the control of muted format on Zoom, nothing to do with the TV being in the room. Right. Because I think like Anna's mom probably wants to go on Zoom so she could watch it. Maybe she can't get Court TV in Serbia. And so some people are going to want to see the trial by Zoom from across the world. And I really don't think that has to do with the camera being in the room, but I could be wrong. I mean, I just don't have official clarification of that until News 10. Well, in fact, I don't even trust mainstream media until like Kathy Russin on Law and Crime says they are not allowing us to stream the trial, then maybe I'll believe it. Yes, I did watch the new episode of Landman last night. Shelley, did you? And then you know what I did? Because the first episode I watched it. And then I was like, you know what? I'm going to go back and watch season 1. So then I went back and I watched the first couple of episodes, and there's a lot of stuff I missed. So I'm glad I went back to watch it that I just didn't remember. There was like some foreshadowing and stuff, you know? So if you haven't watched Landman on Paramount Plus, go do it. Because I mean, I never got Billy Bob Thornton either. I was never really into Billy Bob Thornton. And then I watched Goliath and I was like, oh, okay, now I get Billy Bob Thornton. And if you haven't watched Goliath, that is, I think, one of the best television shows ever. And the season with Mark Duplass was so insane. I love Landman. So does Be in Trouble. Hi, Be in Trouble. How are you? But if you haven't watched Goliath, it's a great lawyer show. And Billy Bob plays this like degenerate alcoholic lawyer who gets kicked out of his white shoe firm. And he's living in Santa Monica next to Shay J in this seedy motel. And oh my God, so great, right? Postal Girl. And that season with Mark Duplass was so twisted. So twisted. Here comes Scott, LawTube's most hated mod, who also is retired NYPD, saying, in my opinion, him pleading to the lesser is a strategy. So when the murder trial is on, they drop Michael Proctor's text, causing reasonable doubt. Right. And bias. And the fact that he was sharing nudes of maybe Ana Walshe, maybe. Oh, you got to go see it. You got to watch Goliath, Vexatious Parrot, and then report back to me on how you like it. It's amazing. It's an older show. And I forget. I'll go to IMDb Pro and tell you where to find it. Nina Arianda, who plays the female attorney in Goliath, is also so amazing. Oh, it's on Amazon Prime. You can watch it on Amazon Prime. It was how many seasons? 4 seasons. They're each only 8 episodes. And it started airing all the way back in 2016, which is maybe why you might have missed it. But it is so good. I love it. Talk about lots of things here, not just the law. Please hit the like button and make sure you subscribe because YouTube has been unsubscribing people. Yes, I do like the Hulu Murdoch series as well.
If you're done with the questionnaire, look up, and if you're not, I'm going to assume you're looking down reading.
Thank you, Tiffany. You're the greatest. Yeah, the Hulu series is really good in my opinion. I mean, Patricia Arquette nails it. She plays Maggie Murdoch. Jason Clarke, I think is he British or Australian? I forget. But he plays Alec Murdoch and he's like spitting image, like crazy good. And also, as I said the other day, I was predicting that the actor who plays Pawpaw or Paul Murdoch should be nominated for an Emmy because it is a very difficult thing as an actor to make an unsympathetic character sympathetic, and he's so good in that role. Lau says, Melanie, how can you admit to disposing of a body without
So let me
explaining?
ask it this way now that to my
found
eye,
it.
I think everyone is done, but I can only see what I can see, especially with my vertically challenged self. Does anyone need any more time to fill out the questionnaire? Just raise your hand.
Bless you.
Bless you. Anyway, the kid who plays Pawpaw, I think, is amazing. I think he should be nominated for an Emmy. And did anybody watch the latest Tulsa King episode? Because Samuel L. Jackson has entered the chat on Tulsa King. I was like, is that really him? It's really him. Okay, so Lau said, how can you admit to disposing of the body without explaining how he found it? Well, he doesn't have to explain anything. Brian Walshe does not have to prove a damn thing. It is the burden of the Commonwealth to prove that Brian Walshe murdered Ana Walshe, and they're going to have to prove that. And they don't have any, I don't think they have any forensic evidence. They don't have any DNA. I don't think the Google searches are going to be allowed in because they only refer to things that happened after she was apparently deceased. And so it's the Commonwealth's burden to prove with beyond a reasonable doubt.
Okay.
That he did this, and I don't know if they're going to be able to do it. So he doesn't have to explain anything. They do. You know what I'm saying?
All right. The court officers have told me we're set, and if you haven't finished filling it out, and I think everyone has, but if you haven't, you're going to be seated downstairs in another courtroom for a bit of time. So at this point, court officers are going to move everyone but the first group, right? Down to the first floor to courtroom number 10. Again, I'm going to remind you of a couple of things. First, you cannot talk to anyone by any mechanism. No texting, no phone calls, no emails, no nothing. Tweets, nothing. Keep your phones off during the time of jury selection. Second, don't speak to each other about anything while you're down there. Again, task of being selected or being chosen as a juror is a solitary task until you come. So I appreciate your patience, and we'll see you all, depending on your number, in a little bit or later in the day, in a little bit or later in the day. Thank you very much, Trace.
Step up right this way, please. Make sure you take all your belongings.
That's it, I guess. I still didn't hear her say, that they are not going to be able to use any social media for the entirety of the 6 weeks or watch any news. I don't know if the Google searches are going to be out. It is my opinion that they are going to have to talk about that again because Brian Murdoch, Brian Walshe pled guilty to 2 things this morning. So if you're tuning in late, go back and watch it. It's scrolling along the bottom of his screen. What about the corn searches? That's a good part. That's a good point. I don't know when those were conducted, but again, what do we know about Celebrite? We know that the Celebrite tabs are wrong and that the timestamps are wrong. And so none of that can be relied upon. And it is my opinion that the defense, Brian Walshe, should call Ian Whiffen to the stand. He should call Ian Whiffen to the stand to say that Celebrite is unreliable. And in fact, now they've taken away all the timestamps and all the stuff. So you can't even rely on when he made those searches. What do you think? What do you think? Just a watcher says, Holy Duck, if the prior bad acts, disposal and lying to cops aren't coming in, well, those are not prior bad acts, though. These are subsequent bad acts. But regardless, the guilty pleas to these things will not come in because it's prejudicial under Massachusetts law. The Commonwealth literally don't have a case for murder one, says Just a Watcher. And it's interesting. And I think that you can see that from all the way across the pond. And I think that it's very interesting. Celebrate will just change the software to display what they want. Oh, all right. We're still here. We're still here. Yes, she will wait until they're actual jurors. But Kermie, I would submit to you.
So, counsel, I have a slightly different viewpoint.
They need to know that ahead of time.
During that time that the jury was working, and I want to share with something working on the questionnaires. There were a few jurors, and notably 2 gentlemen in the front row, who, to my eye, appear to be struggling to do the questionnaires independently, or sort of collaborate with each other. I don't know if they came together, perhaps they knew each other beforehand. But when I've asked the court officers to take note of those jurors, I think I will remember who they are. And when that happens, I will alert you to the fact that they're coming, because I'm concerned about their collaboration when it was my clear expressed direction not to. So I just wanted to alert you. All right.
That's Jim's cough.
Let me take care of a few other matters just for housekeeping reasons. I'm going to have marked as Exhibit A for identification questionnaire, blank questionnaire. You have one? Is that the final version? Okay, great. And that has the 2-page witness list on it?
It does.
All right. And then as Exhibit B for identification, the trial order. Have I shared this with you yet?
I'm sorry, Your Honor, I don't believe so.
I think I have extras. This is my standard trial order, except I changed it in this case. So if you've tried a case with me before, you've seen it. It's the prohibitions against don't speak to anyone about the case. Don't do any research about the case and have open minds. How I changed it in this case, in light of the attention this case has had, is I am directing them to avoid any social media or news media accounts during the trial. Not specific to this case at all, because I don't want them stumbling on it at all. And that's something that I'm going to discuss with them in the individual questioning, because they've got to buy into that. And that's
She's saying she's going to discuss it with them for the individual questioning. So I'm going to hear that. Just take that back a sentence, because this is what I've been waiting for her to tell them what she sent them all out of the room, I guess. The jurors are not there right now to go fill out their questionnaires. And in fact, she's got eagle eyes because she saw 2 of them working on it together. And she's like, I told them not to do that. And maybe they came together, but they're not supposed to be collaborating or coabulating, as Brennan would say.
stumbling accounts during the trial. Not any. Is I am directing them to avoid any social media or news media accounts during the trial. Not specific to this case at all, because I don't want them stumbling on it at all. And that's something that I'm going to discuss with them in the individual questioning, because they've got to buy into that. And that's a big ask, as I mentioned to you earlier, but it's a necessary ask, I believe, in this case, to keep them in that fair and impartial state of being.
Yes, Your Honor.
Anyone want to look at this? I think I have enough to give you extras, and we're probably not going to.
I can make copies.
Anyway.
I can make copies.
That's all right. I think I have enough. So I gave one for each of you.
Thank you.
Oh,
I'll give you a minute to look at it just in case you have any concerns about it. And that will be marked as B for identification.
Identification is so marked.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All set?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right.
Bang, bang,
If you're all set with that, it's.
bang, bang.
Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you.
That'd be great.
I can make another copy if you need it.
It should be so marked.
All right. Everybody else set to go? Bring in juror number 120.
Your Honor, if I may ask one housekeeping question. This is a more unique process to me. I've usually moved on the record for trial, and I haven't done that yet.
Wait, what did happen?
You've
Sorry.
so moved for trial now.
Thank you, Your Honor.
I see a procedural problem with that.
Just want to make sure I had done it.
Okay. Is that why you were giving me the look earlier?
No, I just have that face.
Oh. You were looking up to me pleadingly at some point, I thought, but I may have read that wrong. All right.
Probably just thinking of
But
lunch.
good that you asked me a question because I want to make sure that everybody is, the electronics are working.
See how cordial Greg Connor is? You can be nice as a prosecutor. You can be nice. We've seen some nice ones. Michael Daugherty in Boulder, he's a very nice prosecutor. We watched that trial of the King Soopers mass shooting. And they get along. They don't be mean to each other and give each other evil looks.
Can you go in my top left drawer of in my chambers? And I have a set of headphones, I believe there.
Give me my vape. No, just joking. Can I have a cappuccino, please, Jim? Yeah, exactly. Jim, you know how I like my coffee. All right, camera's going off. Camera's going off. And we have just entered the Twilight Zone. No, we're not. We haven't entered the Twilight Zone. Brian Walsh's case is going to trial on murder one only. And we're going to have to go back. We're going to have to reevaluate the evidence. He has pled guilty to the disposal of the corpse of Ana Walshe and to misleading the police investigation. And we're here for it. Opening statements will begin on this case on December 1st. Rewind if you weren't here and go back and watch it because this is going to be exciting. Let's take any final questions. They can't bring up the fake Warhols. Nope, that's already been ruled out. They can't talk about that. I don't even think they can talk about the fact that he was wearing an ankle monitor, which was not a GPS monitor, by the way. It was only an ankle monitor to show what time he left what time he left the house, because he was allowed to leave the house because he was on house arrest for the fraud case for the Andy Warhol fakes that he was selling on eBay to an Andy Warhol collector for $80,000. So he was allowed to leave the house to go pick up the kids from school and stuff. And so there's that. Lola, the good dog, says, I wonder if defendants with upcoming trial dates watch other trials on YouTube like we do. I totally would for preparation. Thoughts? Defendants? You mean like, well, if they're incarcerated, I don't think they can watch YouTube, number one. Number two, that's an interesting point. I don't know if they do. I have no idea. Has anyone ever been a defendant and watched YouTube trials? I mean, I know that the lawyers do, and I know that the lawyers watch the chats on the trials that they're trying because, yes, we are very aware of Karen Reed's huge civil lawsuit. We're going to go off this stream and go on to the next stream to cover that in a couple of minutes, okay? Because I like to do them in separate streams so that people can tune into the things that they want to tune into. Thoughts, questions, comments, concerns before we break on Brian Walshe and pivot over to Karen Reed. But I need a couple of minutes to gather myself. So I'm setting that stream right now. It is currently 11:41. I am creating that live stream right now for 12:30. But I'm going to teleport you over there so that you don't have to do a thing. As always, I like to make your life easier and mine. So let me just do that. Thoughts, questions, comments, concerns If you're just tuning in, Brian Walshe pled guilty to 2 of his counts this morning, but there is still the murder 1 charge, and that is the only one that he will stand trial for. The judge is going to tell all the jurors as she questions them that they are not allowed to use any social media and they are not allowed to watch any news. And let's all go take a lunch break, and then we're going to come back. I'm just going to set up the teleport right now. And so we will come back and read this massive lawsuit that Karen Reed filed. It is 40, wait, how many pages? I think it's 40 something pages. She's suing everybody. I've had this thumbnail prepared, by the way, for a very long time, ever since Damon Seligson said that it was going to be coming up real soon. He said it was imminent. The filing was imminent, and now it is here. It is here, and it is, it is ready for us to read, and we're going to do that. We're going to go over it, and it's what I do. It's my wheelhouse, civil litigation. So if I can just redirect us, that'd be great. And take some medicine so that I will feel better for the next one. Okay. All right. Thoughts, questions, comments, concerns. Thank you all for hanging out with me this morning. This is much more exciting than we thought it was going to be. To everyone who keeps sending me documents, including Brian Walshe, new filings. I just can't cover that right now. And Farwell stuff and all this other stuff. We're gonna focus on Karen Reed. Please put your tray tables in their upright and locked positions. And I'm going to teleport you over there. Thank you to the moderators, because I know this is very difficult. You guys are amazing and you're awesome. I don't know how bad the troll factor was, but it is always bad. Okay. We're going to read the entire Karen Reed lawsuit. So you're going to want to go get your snacks ready, your popcorn. It's 46 pages long, and you have about 45 minutes to do that. So go on, get on, buckle your seatbelts. Thanks for coming. Smash the like button on your way out. Smash the like button on your way in. And she's suing everybody. Go look at my thumbnail for the next one, because I think you're going to like it. I've had it ready for a long time. All right. Safe travels, my friends. I'll see you right over there. Bye. And 3, 2, 1. Beam me up, Scotty.